my old seatmates down there.
All right. Good evening and welcome, everybody. Looks like we're spread out enough. Y'all feel safe? I do. Welcome, and I'll call this meeting to order of the Victorville Planning Commission, June 10th, 2020. Roll call, please.
Chair Kurth,
Here.
Vice Chair Marsh, Commissioner Wells,
Here.
Commissioner Huber, Commissioner Harriman.
You'll all stand for the invocation led to us by Commissioner Huber, along with the Pledge of Allegiance led to us by Commissioner Harriman.
Heavenly Father, so many times we become immersed in daily troubles and hardships. Help us to see beyond these small problems and instead work toward making our community a happier and healthier place for all. Please guide us in our efforts this day and the days to follow. Amen.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which is
We have a couple of sets of minutes that we need to deal with regarding May 13th, 2020 and May 27th, 2020.
I'll move that we approve the minutes on the meeting from May 13th, 2020.
I second.
Is that just for the May 13th meeting or for the May 27th as well? Is that just for the May 13th meeting or the special meeting on the 27th as well?
That includes a special meeting.
We're, all of us were in attendance for both those meetings, right? Okay.
We have a motion by Commissioner Harriman with the second by Commissioner Wells to approve the minutes for the May 13th, 2020 regular Planning Commission meeting and the May 27th, 2020 special Planning Commission meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with agenda item number 1, if we could have the staff report, please.
Thank you, Chairman Kurth. Fellow Commissioners, item number 1 is case PLAN 20-00014. It is a Title 16 Municipal Code amendment with an environmental exemption to modify site plan approval periods and standards related to single-family residential side and rear yard setbacks, minimum dwelling unit area, and dwelling product variety within single-family residential districts. This would be located in single-family districts throughout the citywide. As I know, 2 of the commissioners were sitting on this commission when we embarked on new standards for single-family residential subdivisions. This was back in 2015, 2014. as those commissioners recall, it was at length. We had various workshops, even joint workshops with the city council. And what came of that was a comprehensive list of amendments that included single-family residential design guidelines. The building industry was supportive of those amendments, and they were adopted. But both staff and building industry realized that at some point we would need to bring back some revisions after we put these codes in practice. So what's before you today is a short list of code amendments that both staff and the building industry are supportive of. They don't encapsulate all of the standards modifications that the building industry is seeking, but we do intend to have numerous workshops over the next 18 months as the city embarks on adopting a new housing element to accommodate our future RENA numbers. So with that, staff recommends approval of the various conditions that are outlined in the staff report and resolution. And we recommend that you take the following action by finding the project categorically exempt per CEQA guidelines section 15061B3 and adopt resolution number P-20-011 recommending city council approval of municipal code amendment number PLAN 20-0014 with a modification to the published version of the resolution that would change all of the site plan approval references from 24 months to 36 months. Staff remains available if you have any questions.
Thanks. I don't have any questions. Does anyone from the commission have questions of staff? Thank you.
I make a motion.
First, I'm going to open a public hearing real quick. I'll open the public hearing if there's anyone else here to speak to us on agenda item number 1. No one for number 1, then I'll close the public hearing. Thank you, Commissioner Wells.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that accept the staff recommendation as quoted by
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wells with a second by Commissioner Huber to recommend case PLAN 20-00014 for City Council approval as conditioned. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Now, on agenda item number 2, we're being shown that the staff is requesting a continuance until next month's meeting on this item. And I will open up the public hearing in case there's anyone here that would like to speak to us on agenda item number 2, even though it's being requested for continuance.
I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay.
Have the contract for the concrete work.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead and leave the public hearing open, and I'll make the motion to continue this item to the July 8th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
Have a motion by Chair Kurth with a second by Commissioner Wells to keep the public hearing open and continue case PLAN 20-00002 to the July 8th, 2020 regular Planning Commission meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with Commissioner Harriman absent from the dais.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Commissioner Harriman. I even had it written down, and then I jumped right into it. Agenda item number 3, please.
Thank you, Chairman Kurth. Item number 3 is case PLAN 20-00005. It is a request for a 3-year time extension to a previously environmentally assessed 55-lot single-family residential vesting tentative tract map. This is located south of Pepperwood Drive, north of Olivera Road, and west of Highway 395. The proposal is located within a R1 single-family residential district with the subdivision resulting in lots with minimum sizes around 7,900 square feet, resulting in a density of 3.9 units per acre. This map has actually been approved twice by the Planning Commission prior, and this would be their last 3-year extension of time under the Subdivision Map Act. With that, staff finds that the proposed map still meets all municipal code standards, and we ask that the Planning Commission take the following action by finding the project to be previously assessed by the existing mitigated negative declaration in accordance with the Environmental Quality Act, and adopt resolution number P-20-012 approving the 3-year time extension for vesting tentative track map 18487, case number PLAN 20-00005, subject to the attached conditions of approval. Staff remains available if you have any questions.
Thanks. Any questions for staff? Okay, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing on agenda number 3. Is there anyone here to speak to us on number 3? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for a determination.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move for a staff recommendation for a 3-year time extension.
I second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Huber with a second by Commissioner Wells to approve case PLAN 20-00005 as conditioned. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 4, please.
Yes, Chairman, Commissioners. Agenda item number 4, planning case 2006, is a site plan and a conditional use permit with an environmental exemption to allow for the development of a fueling station with accessory car wash and convenience store, a conditional use permit to allow for alcohol sales, beer and wine, and a tentative parcel map to allow for the creation of 2 parcels from 1 vacant parcel. And the project is located at the southeast corner of Hesperia Road and Nisqually Road at the entrance to the Foxborough Industrial Park. The project has a superior design and excellent elevations for the location. And the gas station contains a much needed fueling island or islands and a canopy for the diesel trucks nearby. It also includes short-term truck parking as well. Staff has been working with the applicant to resolve some minor issues of recently and recommends approval of the project. With the site plan revision that you've seen with your add-ons, the revision accounts for a right-hand turning lane on Hesperia Road, and the parcel map revision changes parcel 2 to a remainder parcel. The modified and added conditions are contained with that add-on memo. Again, staff recommends approval and that the commission take the following actions. I'll read through these, 5 of them here. The environmental assessment, find the project categorically exempt under section 15332 of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, entitled Infill Development Projects, and section 15315 entitled Minor Land Divisions. And number 2, conditional use permit for the fuel dispensing facility. Adopt resolution number P-20-015 approving the fuel station conditional use permit portion of the case plan 2006, subject to the attached conditions of approval. And number 3, the site plan. Adopt resolution P-20-016 approving the site plan portion of case plan 2006, subject to the attached conditions of approval, including the revisions. And number 4, conditional use permit, the alcohol sales. Adopt resolution P-20-017 approving the alcohol sales, beer and wine, conditional use permit portion of case planning 2006 with a finding of public convenience or necessity, subject to the attached conditions of approval. And number 5, boy, you guys are lucky I'm reading this. Tentative parcel map, adopt resolution P-2018 approving the tentative parcel map portion of case number plan 2006, subject to the attached conditions of approval, including the modified. Question staff is available.
Any questions of that staff report?
So the one area is for parking for big rigs?
There is 6 big rig short-term parkings for, for the truckers to come in and use the C-store.
Do they have access to fuel also, or is it?
They do on the, right along the Squally Road, there's a canopy, a second canopy with diesel fuel.
The car wash, is that including a truck car wash?
No.
I noticed that throughout all the renderings of the staff report, it shows that the C-store is branded like called Rocket or something like that, and then it looks like they have multi options for what kind of fuel brand. I'm assuming they probably don't know what kind of brand the fuel will be at this point. Is that
Correct.
your understanding?
And given one of the options was a Chevron, which is right across the street, so.
Yeah. Then I saw they had a possibility of a 76, so they gave all the options on their signage and everything, so we can compare and contrast depending on which one it is, right?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. I'll open up the public hearing on agenda item number 4. If there's anyone here that would like to talk to me, please come forward.
Never done this with a face mask on before. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Matthew Miller. I'm an architect working on this project for Core States Group, and just wanted to introduce ourselves on behalf of the applicant, our client, Bose Development Group. Tanya Wooldridge is the project manager. Sean Landis is the real estate broker, and then myself, Matthew Miller, and Travis Vinson is our civil engineer. So we're just available here. If you have any questions, this is the second one, the second United Pacific fueling station and convenience store and car wash that we're planning in Victorville. And we're excited to be doing this with you.
Great. Any questions for the development team?
Yeah. What is the advantage of having big rig parking, just parking?
You mean the six short term?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of land just to sit there and park. They're not purchasing fuel.
There is a fuel purchasing canopy. Yes, sir. So there's there's 2 canopies. There's one for, regular cars and SUVs. And then there's a separate fueling canopy, a higher canopy for big rigs. And then they can pull over and go inside and get a bite to eat or use the restroom, and that's why those short-term stalls are provided.
Okay. Is there a time limit to park there?
No, sir. But it's considered short-term. There's no, unlike, some truck stops that have like shower facilities, there's none planned.
I have kind of a problem in the city, people parking trucks for a long time.
I would be surprised.
So I have a question. So if the trucks are parked there, there's 6 stalls, is there any in-place regulation that, what are you defining as short term? A half a day, a whole day, 2 hours? And if they stay longer than what you consider short term, who asks them to leave? Who gives them your regulations?
I would expect that would be done by the fuel station attendants. I'm not aware of any restrictions at present. When somebody says to me short term, I'm thinking 30 minutes, hour, 2 hours tops. I mean, if somebody wants to maybe take a nap, but for the most part, probably going and getting a Coke and using the restroom.
Don't have a definition for short term.
Not at this time.
Yeah. So, I just don't there were the trucks idling, and I don't understand why they need parking for short term. I can understand if they're going to go in and buy something, but there's gotta be some kind of a time limit to park there.
Understood.
Otherwise, they're gonna sit there with their refrigerator on and the engine idling, and then I don't know. I just, you know, I'd like to see some time limit for parking there.
I have a question. Is it possible to put up a sign, like, you know, like the handicap sign, but a sign that says truck parking for some period of time,
Mm-hmm.
that they would need to, I don't know if the city has such an ordinance or code, but something that, that, because what if another truck comes in and there's 6 trucks there and that truck needs to park and
Well,
can't?
I'm sure the owners would be open to that. To a certain extent, there would be an advantage for them to impose a limit because they wouldn't want those 6 stalls to fill up, and because that would mean a trucker that wanted to take a quick break and run inside would go to the next fueling station. So they would want to keep them open to allow for as much business as possible to circulate through.
Can it be considered to put a sign there?
Yes, ma'am.
The comment's been brought up by a couple of commissioners, so I'm thinking that there's some importance there. Is there anyone else from the team here, or maybe with your history of other locations you've worked on that I'm sure have similar layouts with the short term, you know, just a few semi stalls that may or may not have had problems, or any stories from other locations?
This is I'm counting. This is the 3rd one we're doing, and so far this is the first one with a big rig canopy. So this one is new for us as far as having a short-term parking.
Okay. I'm kind of familiar with the area there. I know a lot of the semi trucks that would be using that site are, obviously the ones that make the turn and go into the Goodyear facility, the other couple of industrial big boxes there, and that's kind of the end point, I think, for them. And so then when they turn around and go leave, if they wanted to fuel up, grab a sandwich, go to use the restroom, whatever, before they get out and try to hit the freeway, that would be the stop. And I don't see anybody abusing it, but I don't know. And a couple of commissioners brought it up. Some discussion was started on a sign. I don't want to cut that off, so if the commission has any other recommendations or
Yeah.
investigation on that, go for it.
Yeah, I want some sign for time limit.
What, and we can leave it up to the developer to discuss, maybe with the,
Well, it isn't gonna be something like 15 minutes, but I would say 30 minutes, 60 minutes, something like that. Because Nisqually, that whole street lines up with trucks parking. They come early, they wait till they can go pick up their load or drop their load off. I just don't wanna see that, I can already envision it. They're not even gonna use all the stalls. They'll try to park along the curb around the perimeter of it. I would just like to see a sign, some signage, that dictates, the length of time that they can stay parked.
okay, that's fair.
Like a green curb,
Any other questions?
Well, I just wanna know, regulate that. And once they do that, I don't know if it's a ticket or anything like that. I'm long as there's a sign there, I'm not sure if it would be forced or anything like that, but just for the sake of other truckers coming through is my concern.
I understand. So obviously if there was a city ordinance then it could be enforced by, say, police or whomever. In this case, it would be, I guess, up to the fueling attendants. And like I said earlier, they would have incentive to enforce that sign because they would want the new patrons to come in. They would want those parking spots not filled up because they'd get more business if that person left. And it's kind of like when I worked at restaurants in college. You want that turnover. You want that table. It's all about the turnover. It's one thing to get a section for the night, but you want a lot of tables to go in and out. So I would expect that it'd be the same hope for the fueling company.
Okay, since we're talking about signage and stuff, I don't see how you know, I don't see how it can be really enforced. You would have to pretty much have an attendant, eyeballing that section constantly. Enforcement, you know, I can see if it becomes a problem, then, you know, for employees or a company, you know, try to take measures to curtail curtail the problem, but I just don't see how.
Well, there is, I visited one of their existing stations last week in Whittier, and they have several cameras throughout the property, and in the back they had a monitor display in the manager's desk, and he was actively like looking and checking cameras and such. So I would imagine if there was an ongoing problem, and especially if there had been complaints, that there would be somebody monitoring those cameras and checking. And the attendants do go out regularly because they have to check the fueling dispensers and clean the dispensers.
Yeah, I would think that it would be in the operator's best interest to so. That's because there's nowhere to park. They're not going to be making their sales. Obviously, internal, policing with the on-site operator. When it comes to the any kind of signage, Mr. Zarzinski, would you be able to speak a little bit on how that would be best, handled if the commission wishes to put a condition on that? Would it be something that staff would have the discretion to make sure is done on the site plan, but to what level, whether it be stops or painted or signs or what have you?
Yes, Chairman, staff would propose adding, condition number 8 to resolution P 20015. Read, if you accept the condition, the applicant shall install short-term truck parking signage and curb paint with a 30-minute time limit at the 6 truck stalls.
Okay.
During the plan check process, we can ensure that it's proper signage and proper painting.
If that condition was passed and voted on by the commission, that would be the language that.
Yeah, I think that's sufficient. I don't think, the police are not gonna go in there and enforce that. Obviously, that's private property. I think.
Thanks. Is there anyone else here to speak to us on agenda item number 4? All right, seeing no one, I'll bring it. Go ahead.
I agree.
I'm gonna close the public hearing now, and bring it back into and that's it. Point. I agree with that as well, just because. They're going to run in there and facilities there, and then maybe would sit in the truck and relax for a little while to eat their lunch.
Some rights.
I was using that as an example. I think 30 minutes isn't. Want some like you said, it's going to generate hours on end,
And I just want to make make the point that it is a high truck area, and trucks will be passing by there. Their business will be attracted to the truckers, I would think, because of the way they have it designed. So we got to give the truckers the opportunity to use their facility, gas station itself.
One other thing, I do notice some businesses in town, there's a green curve and says 2-hour limit. I'm not, definitely not 30 minutes, but any hour and 2 hours should be fine. I would think the vendor or the owner wouldn't want everyone to be in there. There are a lot of businesses have a green curb in their parking lots that say 2-hour limit.
Line off to the side because these are big drive-through stalls. Any other final comments? If not, then I think we're ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the staff's recommendation with the additional added for signage for the trucks. 1 hour.
We have a second? We have a motion and a second, and go ahead with your question.
I think we can determine whether it's gonna be an hour or 2 hours. I don't think it needs to be an hour right now. We can go with 2 hours. I think it should be 2 hours.
Would the commission be okay to leave it up to staff once they have more dialogue and discussion with the applicant, whether it be 1 or 2 hours?
Yes.
Does the motion, is your motion amended to reflect that?
My motion is amended to reflect that. Up to staff.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Wells with a second by Vice Chair Marsh to approve case PLAN 20-00006 with the added condition adding a time limit sign determining short-term truck parking to be determined by staff. All in favor?
Aye.
Was that, I just want to be clear because you had made it clear, Commissioner Wells, that it would be, staff would determine whether it be between 1 or 2 hours.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with Commissioner Huber voting no.
Opposing because I think we should make it a decision, 2 hours instead of staff making it 15 minutes, so.
I think it was a question of 1 hour or 2 hours, not 15 minutes. And I kind of felt that once staff had the opportunity to talk to the applicant and some of the other decision makers that are not here, they might say, hey, we really agree with that. If we have to do a sign, 1 hour would be best. Or they might say 2 hours. So that was the reasoning I wanted, the flexibility. Okay, at this time in compliance with the Brown Act, it's necessary for the Planning Commission to make available time for members of the public to address the Planning Commission on items that fall within our subject matter jurisdiction. Is there anyone here to speak to the Commission tonight? Now we have an opportunity for commissioners to present any items of interest, and we'll start with Commissioner Wells.
I'm glad to see everybody still healthy and
Same summons as Commissioner.
Commissioner Huber? Commissioner Harriman? I have nothing as well. Any reports or comments from staff members?
Thank you, Chairman Kurth. Just briefly, I wanted to give you an update on the CARES Act funds that the city received. The city council authorized the use of those funds mainly in two programs that we've recently advertised to the public. So there are $10,000 grants available for nonprofits that are responding to the COVID outbreak. So if you know any nonprofits that have any services that they're providing at this time or want to provide, the applications are still available up until this Friday. And then we rarely get to assist our business community with these grants, but with these coronavirus funds given by the federal government, we've initiated a small business assistance grant program for small businesses within the CDBG target areas. So those businesses could receive up to $15,000 in grant funds to help get them back on their feet, to cover any payments, utilities, any equipment they may need to have to reopen. So that actually application became available this last Friday and is will be available up until June 20th. And both applications are available on our website. And that's all I had.
Anyone else? Okay, with that, we'll see everybody next month. Maybe it'll be mask free, huh? Thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned.